In terms of just people that are now using the platform, I'd say like the successes we've had is just supporting people in their fundraise. I'd say the last like since interest rates have quickly gone up.
Good afternoon. This is the Tantum podcast, and we have a very special guest today with us, Domingo Valadez. He started a software, which I'll let him share with us a little bit of how it works, what it is. We'll even do a demo today with him. And the idea of this podcast is to show people how they can syndicate their own deals, how larger syndicators they can do this a little bit more efficiently, right? And start utilizing some of the softwares, right? A lot of the people don't have trackable measures, and all this can translate on projects being a little bit less efficient, less communication with the investors, right? And at the end of the day, what you want to do whenever you're dealing with a lot of people is you want to make sure that everybody's getting the correct information constantly. Everybody's happy, right? An informed investor is a happy investor, right? So this is amazing. We contacted Domingo for our own purposes because we want to syndicate some of our deals or help syndicate some deals. And whenever he showed us this software, we were took back. We really like the software. So with that said, I'll let you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got to this point. But let's start a little bit of where you're from.
Yeah, no, really kind intro, Rodrigo. Thank you so much. To share a bit about myself and where I'm from. Originally born in Indianapolis, but raised in McAllen, Texas, which is like the most southern tip of Texas you can get before hitting Mexico. Born to two immigrant parents. They're dentists by day, real estate investors by night. So I grew up going to a ton of open houses as a kid. Got the real estate bug really early. Ended up going to Penn, studied finance and real estate at Wharton, and post graduation was at Google for 5 years, where I did product strategy for the majority of my time there. Left around 2.5 years ago to start my company, HomeBase. And at the time, we were actually building a crowdfunding marketplace. So you've ever seen companies like CrowdStreet, PeerStreet? The whole thesis was, can we let people invest in properties for as little as $100? And we successfully sold two properties that way. Those homes ended up going viral. We actually have a photo of a McAllen property in Times Square because that was like one of the viral videos and like got showcased. And people all across the United States bought fractions of this property. So ended up building like an investor base of about 3,400 accredited, non-accredited. Learned a ton about syndicating from fundraising to investor management to K1 securitization. To your point, happy investor is a well-informed investor. And so making sure people always understand what's going on with their investment, how the property is performing. And then we ended up pivoting the business last year when we started getting reached out to by a lot of different real estate operators, just saying like, hey, we've seen you guys. Can we use your software for our own deals? And so realize like, although we loved syndicating real estate ourselves, much more scalable to support other people that are much better at it than us. And so started selling our software to them instead. And so now we're truly just a software business. We partner with different operators. We're now supporting about 13 different real estate sponsors across the US, have about 40 million of assets under management on the platform. And these people raise anywhere for multifamily, for self-storage, mobile home parks, truly have very different types of structures. So happy to dive into any of that syndication in general and share more about the platform.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And what you guys are doing are not just helping the syndicators itself, right? But you're also helping the people, right? You're making it more accessible, easier to understand, to digest. We've had some conversations, and even in the last podcast that we recorded, of how difficult sometimes it is to get into the real estate world, right? There's just 10,000 things that you need to understand and to align perfectly and communicate and coordinate. So the ability to have everything in one place just makes it very unique, right? Very structured. And it's easier also to find your own investors, right? And to syndicate it, right? Everybody can go to your platform, check out the deals, and that's some of the things that I would like to review today is how all that works, right? And how somebody just starting out with syndication, how they can just add their investors, how they can add them to their list, how they can send them an invite to your platform where they can see the past, current projects, just a little bit of everything you guys do, right? So before we get into that, I want to know a little bit more about you and your specific background, right? So you said that you grew up in McAllen. Um, We've talked a little bit, and you said that you speak a little bit of Spanish. Are you still uh, tied into that community, or did you, I don't know, like went to New York and forgot all about it?
No, still love the McAllen community. I mean, I was just there for the holidays. It's now like January 6th, Christmas holiday. I spent about 3 weeks in McAllen. I probably go twice a year to visit my parents there. The properties that we were syndicating, where we let anyone invest for as little as $100, we sold two of those homes, had about like 40 investors per offering. Um, those two properties were in McAllen. A lot of my personal real estate's in McAllen. So know the market quite well, go for both family and business. And so I try to stay still involved in that community. It's grown a lot over the last like 15 to 20 years, which is pretty crazy. Back when I was really young, there was like orange farms everywhere. And now it's like truly, no, so much construction, so much housing, so many developments. It's like a very different city than when I was a young kid there.
Yeah, I bet you saw a lot of growth, right? And even more
Oh yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. I'm consistently shocked with how they're still building more and more apartments. Like, do we really need more apartments? Like, there's so many already, but people keep finding the demand to keep building them. So yeah, it's grown much faster than I would have thought, and it's been consistent.
Amazing, beautiful. And is there any types of projects that right now you guys are dealing with that you would like to share with us, or a success story with some of the people that use your software?
Yeah. So we don't syndicate deals ourselves anymore. So that was really like we were building that marketplace. We wanted to make it where anyone can invest for very little money. We actually exited those deals. Everyone made about 10%. And I think we got lucky with McAllen has grown a lot over the last few years. And so a lot of that was price appreciation, which is great for every investor. So everyone exited making money on those deals. In terms of just people that are now using the platform, I'd say like the successes we've had is just supporting people in their fundraise. I'd say the last like since interest rates have quickly gone up, it's been a tough market to fundraise for a lot of different syndicators. And so I'd say like what gives me a lot of joy is when our platform is able to, help a sponsor quickly set up a deal, very easily share with prospective investors, get investment quickly, and we help facilitate that like in a very seamless flow. It's already hard enough to get people excited in these market conditions. And so then having a platform or making things that if it doesn't work, you as a sponsor, a syndicator get really frustrated. And so like we try to make that experience as smooth as possible. You got to present your deals in the most professional way. And then when an investor actually invests, they can track their investments, track distribution, see all their documentation. So you present yourself very professionally to anyone that you're fundraising from, which I think matters a lot when you're raising like one, five, $10 million. To do everything on Excel spreadsheets, while it works in the early days, doesn't always build the best confidence in someone writing you like an 100K check. You want more than just like, yep, here's an email, here's some docs. Like you want somewhere to see your investment, see how that's tracking over time. So say some of our successes have just been sponsors that are successfully raised in the platform, and we've supported them through and through.
100%. And back to what you're saying and just the visuals itself. I know that fundraising here in the United States sometimes can be a little bit more transactional, right? Some people don't even meet and they just say, "Hey, send me the information. Let me see the performa, the deck," right? They review your history, and if they like it, they go in, right? In Mexico, it's a little bit more visual. It's a little bit more relationship based. So for them to check on the deal, to see everything whenever they want to see it again, whenever they want to review it again, all that makes it very helpful, right? So I think that's going to be also pretty good to the foreign investor market that's coming into the United States for all the syndicators that are dealing with foreign investments. I think this is also going to be a huge plus for them to utilize your software. But
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing. I don't know if you want to show us a little bit of how they can get started, maybe the website, how it works. I want to do a quick demo, and the idea for this is for the syndicators that we work with and the investors and family offices for them to see how easy it is to for your platform, and hopefully, they can take value of this podcast and utilize your software.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me go right into the demo. I'd say where you can find us is just on our website, homebasecre.com. And so from there, it's very easy to schedule a call with our team or reach out to us directly. We hop on calls like 24/7. So very, very approachable. Let me go ahead and share my screen here so I can showcase what it looks like when a sponsor is first signing in at HomeBase. And so can you see my screen here?
Yes.
I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. So this would be the sponsor experience when you first sign into HomeBase. And so you'll see like you'll have your top KPIs, how much you've raised, how many deals you have active, how much you're fundraising for. And you can see any sort of active deals and open deals. And these are the ones that you're raising for or have already closed. So really I'd like to showcase like two main workflows. The first one being like I'm actively raising. What does it look like as a sponsor to go through that process? And then as an LP, what does it look like to actually, actually invest, go through that flow? And the second one is once a deal's closed, what does it look like to send out distributions on a monthly or quarterly basis? So those are really, I'd say, the two main workflows that come top of mind. Of course, we have other features, which I'm always happy to dive into. But I'd say those are the ones that resonate the most. So let's go ahead and first go through a fundraising flow. And so you can see, we can showcase what that looks like. And so these are the open deals that we're actively raising for right now. Let's say we're raising for Cardinal Apartments. Here you can see everything about the deal itself. You can see the offering, and you can include how much you're raising for, whether it's a Reg D, 506B, or C deal, and that matters because it changes how many accredited or non-accredited investors you can have. We actually have KYC in the platform and the opportunity to take accreditation documentation. So we want you to comply with securities regulation. I know like not everyone's super aware of that. We want to make sure that you're in the best place possible when you're using the Homebase platform to raise for a deal.
And I want to make a point on that. That's huge for syndicators, right? Because a lot of the time, how they market to everybody, right? It's very important for them who, well, it takes a lot of time, right? To be communicating with investors, making sure that they're able to invest, right? That they have the right requirements to invest. So this is great, right? It makes it seamless, faster, and less risk for the syndicators.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to accreditation and like a 506B or C deal, you'll find like in a 506B, you can't do any sort of general solicitation. It's just people you have existing relationships with. And so like for anyone to see one of your deals, they need to make an account. They're effectively establishing a relationship with you. And so like that's your way of showcasing deals with people if they find it. And then at 506C, you can do any sort of, marketing, but there it's only accredited. And so we do have the ability of uploading those documents. So you can check that yourself. And then there, like it's much easier to share that deal. But we try to make that distinction within the platform to protect the sponsor. Yeah, and then we support different class of shares. And here's like where you have like your class A, maybe that's a general LP. Class B, a lot of times is maybe the sponsor side. And those have different return profiles. We support like single asset or multi-asset, so you can include all that information here. We have the ability of you adding market-based information. So all of this is customizable. It's really tied to what you want to showcase to investors when they see your deal. You have the ability of adding different photos. You can go ahead and upload different sort of documentation that you want people to be able to see and download, whether it's like your offering memorandum, your private placement memorandum, like any sort of underwriting you want people to see. Probably the most important tab here being your investment and members tab. And so this is where you can effectively track who's invested in my deal, how much they invested, whether like who brought in that capital. And I'd say something we recently pushed out, we're really excited by, is the ability to create deal teams. And so here, like let's say a lot of times sponsors will raise, but they'll have other partners that are helping you raise, or everyone brings their own capital. And so now you can effectively create deal teams here where you just add a co-GP. They get invited to come onto the platform. They'll get added to the specific deal. And then you can actually track, okay, who brought in this capital and how much did they bring? So it's very easy for you to see and track, like, who's participated the most or who's brought in the most money into the specific deal. Now, I want to switch into specifically, what the deal room looks like when you share with a prospective investor. So we are still on the sponsor side. So you don't have the ability to invest. We try making it very easy so you can see visually what it looks like when you share with a prospective investor. And so this is what that deal room looks like. There'll be a quick snapshot summary at the top. You can see anything about the property, the deal metrics, performance metrics. You can dive into specific details where you can see information about you as a sponsor. So investors can learn more about maybe your history, what you've invested in, the market, why the specific market you're excited by, financials about the deal, and then they can download documentation. So it makes it very easy for folks when you share within this deal room to just access any sort of information. So that's right now like the fundraising side on the sponsor side. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the LP side to showcase to you, like I'm an investor, someone shared this deal room with me. What does that flow look like? So one second, cleaning the
Beautiful. I just want to
screens.
comment on the ability to add a co-sponsor. That's huge. That's huge. It just makes it much more versatile. And how easy is it to set up what we were seeing?
Yeah, very easy. Like truly, we did ask you a few questions about the deal itself. You just upload documentation. You can just invite people to your deal just with the like, where I said like the add co-GP. Literally shoots them an email. They click on it. They get added to your deal. Now they'll be able to see the exact same deal. They don't have edit rights. So like you're the lead sponsor, you're the one dictating everything. So they can't edit it directly. Um, but they can get access to it. They can share with their investors. Like they can share their own updates. So very easy to set that up. And we also do white glove setup. So people come in, they'll say like, we already have all these deals. Can you help me set it up? So we've done that for every person that's onboarded so far.
That's amazing. So it's
Yeah,
very hands off, very fast, very efficient, and you're allowing them to do what they do best, and you're essentially, you could say, like operating almost as a back office, right? Like the software itself, it's their back office.
absolutely. And that's our goal. We want to be like truly a back office for people where right now we're helping more on like the fundraising, but then eventually want to like connect directly to your QuickBooks, pull a lot of that financial data, make it easy for you to figure out how much you should be distributing out on like a quarterly or monthly basis. To your question earlier of how easy is it to get set up, we're actually already testing this new feature that we want to release at the end of this month, where you just input an opera memorandum, and then we automatically create a deal for you using effectively AI to scrape your entire offer memorandum, pull all the information that's necessary, and then create the deal room itself. Um, so yeah, that's like we're planning right now for like that demoable feature to come out at the end of this month. And then we're even going to take that one step further where you directly put in just your financials, like your underwriting financials. And if you tell us like what market, all this different information, we can go ahead and put together an offer memorandum for you and a deal room for you. Of course, once again, using AI to pull a lot of that information and giving you that output. So we've already been testing that internally. Yeah, so some really cool updates. But let me go ahead and just share my screen again because now I want to show you the LP side and what it looks like when you're looking at the same deal and going through the investment. And so this goes back to what I was saying earlier of like we try to make this process incredibly seamless for LPs because like as a sponsor, you want the investor to be able to invest as easily as possible. And so they'll go ahead and just click on this invest button. Um, oh, we need a KYC this account. One second. I'm not going to go. We might have to cut this part out. Give me one second. I forgot to KYC this account. One second. I'm doing this in the background.
Well, is this something that you have to do as part of the software or as part of utilizing the software?
Yeah. So KYC is one of those where, like, according to securities regulation, like you want to make sure it's not laundered money, and so that generally is a requirement. But we have it in two ways. So the first, we have a third-party partner called Persona, and they'll actually do the checks for us. So you like that is one of the options, or you can self KYC people. So like if you say like I know this person, like I'm gonna just KYC them. we have that option too. And so like I, as an LP going through this flow, that would never have popped up for me because you probably would have already self KYC'd them, so they didn't have that experience. But it's more relevant for people you don't know, where it's like, hey, like I met this person online, like they seem really nice, but you don't really know like where they got their capital from. And so this is just one where you want to minimize your own risk, where you're like, hey, like it literally takes 1 minute to do this KYC. The only thing is like I need my license, it takes a photo, and then it very quickly does it. So we try to reduce the risk for the sponsor, but um, it's usually very quick there.
Yeah, and speaking about that part on the KYC, I know that some people dealing with international capital, what they do is they kind of let the bank do the KYC, and after that, they ask the bank for that for for if they're KYC, and then they can uh, invest in the projects, right? A lot
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
times they ask them to do an LLC, which they will transfer their capital from, let's use this case, from Mexico to the United States to their LLC, and then the LLC operates and invests accordingly, right? But this is very helpful. So what you're saying is essentially maybe you could capture the funds from Mexico by using your software and the third party that does the KYC automatically.
Yeah, so the third party does the KYC and like the user goes through that flow. It's automatic. And so that's actually also we got grandfathered into a really great price with this provider. And so yeah, we can just do those checks. That third party provider is the one that does them, but then your account gets reflected when those have been done.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. And that can allow, let's say, Mexican deals to be structured probably in the US. I think that I would have to dig a little bit into that, but probably you could just do a fideicomiso, which is like a trust in the US, right? There's different types of fideicomisos, and you could do that like one for a family office or one with different investors, right? Obviously, there's some rules and regulations in the Mexican side that you should talk to an attorney that does that, but that could be a great option to pass the money from the fideicomiso directly to the deals. Because right now, the people that we've been talking to and the deals, how they're structured, they're requiring an LLC to capture the funds first before they go into the deal. So you're essentially
Oh,
cutting out,
interesting.
a big part of that. And what that does is it takes time, right? It takes time to set up the bank account. People that don't have bank accounts in the U.S., they have to come physically into the United States to open up their bank account. They have to ask for different. They have to get their EIN in order to open up the bank account, to open up the LLC. So that's pretty big, right? Especially for international investing.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say it probably depends how you're investing. Like I just want to make clear the distinction of like if you're going to be creating an US LLC to invest in this offering, you probably still need to take these steps even with the KYC. The KYC is more so for the sponsor to make sure like this person's who they say they are, and it can like allow for you say like, hey, this is not fraud money, or like illicit money, but from like an entity perspective, like know your business, or like if you want to dive into an LLC, we do not do know your business right now. Like that'd be more of a third party, but we allow you to collect all the docs on Homebase, just the individual for now.
Mhm.
But stuff we want to dive into. But yeah, no, great call out. Cool. Well, and was able to, do the quick KYC check now for this customer or like for this LP. So I want to go through the flow and showcase what it looks like. Um, so this is what the investor LP side looks. We were just looking at Cardinal Apartments from the sponsor side. This is now the LP side. If I click on invest, like now here I have the opportunity of either investing via ACH, wire, or check. You just agree to the terms and conditions, you initiate signature, and within this flow, like any sort of documentation that you need people to sign will pop up here. And so a lot of times that is people's operating agreements or offering memorandums where they want investors' signatures to be collected. And all of that is in this exact same flow. So here you'll see like a lot of it gets pre-filled out based on that information that this investor shares with us when they first make an account. You just put your address, you just sign, and then you agree, and then we get a copy. Like, and by we, I mean the sponsor gets a copy, the investor gets a copy, for counter signature, and then like here's all the wire information that you get shared. If it was ACH, we'd actually ask you to connect your bank account, and we have a third-party payment provider called ZoomRails that we work with to do that. And so there, like, it's very easy. You just link your account. It's a Plaid integration. You can send the funds directly to the sponsor, and then we also support check. So we just include all that information. And then once you send it, you just click on confirm wire transfer, and then the sponsor gets a notification that that payment's effectively happened. So we try to make that super seamless. Like, so as a sponsor, you just send this specific deal room, and the entire payment flow and signature flow can happen on the investor side. So that's what it looks like to go through just like the investment flow. I want to showcase you like the rest of the LP experience very quickly. So here you'll see when you first sign in, you have like your top KPIs that we think an investor cares about, which is how much you've invested, any sort of deals that you're committed into, any sort of distributions you've received, and then the history of transactions that you've had. And so here, like you can see, I invested in Stony Creek 100,000, and then I've received 2 checks for about 2,500 in distributions. I can also see any sort of investment opportunities that this specific sponsor is actively raising for. And then I can see any sort of deals that they've closed or are currently active. And so there's a way sponsors love to showcase their portfolio of like what they've done well in, their history. And so they can very easily showcase that here. The next piece to call out is just investor updates. So to the point we were chatting through earlier of like a well-informed investor is a happy investor. The nice piece here is as a sponsor, you can share monthly, quarterly updates, and it's all viewable here within the same platform. And so it's very easy just to copy paste whatever you want to showcase. And it's all just scrollable. So if I'm in multiple funds and I've invested in multiple deals, I can just go ahead and keep scrolling, see different quarters. You can include documentation, you can include files in here, photos. So it's very easy for sponsors to share these updates, and it's all in a secure place. Like I can only sign in on this account. It's password protected. If I, as a sponsor, make a mistake, I can always go in here and change it, and I'll showcase what updates look like on the sponsor side. And the last piece is really just documents. So I can access any sort of signed documents here. Any sort of K1s that get distributed, they'll be here accessible as well. We really just want this to be the central place as an LP that you can go in and see all this sort of documentation you have for these deals you've invested in. Yeah, any questions on this? Otherwise, I'll switch back to the sponsor side and I'll show you.
Well, I think everything is just so well thought out, so seamless, right? It has everything that you need within the platform, so you don't have to get different softwares for different things. Like this is your one-stop shop, right? And similar to the podcast that we had with you, right? That we're trying to be the one-stop shop for all things real estate, right? We help with the getting to know a deal all the way to building out the deal, all the structure, the construction. So this is great, right? They come into your platform. They have a one-stop shop for both for LPs and for the sponsors, and they can both see all the information. It's seamless. It doesn't take more time, right? Like a lot of the time and the headaches of the people trying to syndicate is putting all that information, right, and sending it and
Yep.
tracking it, and just have it very well organized, right? Because you also don't want to double communicate. We have other people communicating with the sponsors. I mean, with the LPs, right? So beautiful. Love the software.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think the last piece I'll showcase is just how easy it is also to send out distributions and like actually see information about your investors. I'm going to pull up the sponsor side really quickly. This will probably take like 1 more minute. So I'm going to be fast with this. But here's what it looks like going back into the sponsor dashboard. Let's say we go into a deal that we've already closed, and we want to go ahead and do a distribution. And so we have the ability of doing that. You just click on initiate distribution, you put in your bank information, your routing number, the total amount you maybe want to send. And then because we know exactly who's invested, how many shares they have, and their banking info, we can go ahead and very easily calculate who should get what. You just initiate the distribution, you confirm the amount, and then with our payment partner Zoom Rails, we go ahead and just initiate that transaction from your bank, and then that gets sent out to every single investor. And so this saves a lot of time for sponsors. We try making this completely automated and make it very easy for folks. Of course, we don't have like your financials, so we don't know how much you're distributing, but you're the one that puts in how much you're distributing, and then we can calculate like who gets what and make that super easy to send out. And then the last piece being, contacts themselves. So if you click on anyone's name, you can see exactly like what deals they've invested in, any sort of transactions you've done, whether or not they're KYC'd, and then any sort of documents that they have tied to them. So it becomes very easy for you just to figure out exactly who has what, and if they've already given you all the information that. So this is like we were chatting earlier about KYC. Here's where you can approve it. It's automatic for folks to have it, or like if you say like I'm not going to be the one to self manually do it, I want the system third party, then like you'll get notified where like it's under review, it's been rejected. But if it's you doing it, then you have the ability of like adding folks. So if it's people you can just KYC them. Then you can see if they've linked their bank. But yeah, that's really the platform. We try making it someplace very easy to navigate. The core thesis of it is we want to help sponsors very easily raise capital for specific deals. And then when it comes to actually managing those deals, automate out distributions, investor updates, and give investors a place where they can go, see their investments, see the distributions, and access any sort of documentation.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how easy is it to add other projects that you've already done so you can have, because you can also use HomeBase as a sort of showcase, right? To showcase some of your past deals, how well they've performed. Um, I think the only thing missing is probably adding some reviews, right? Like having some your past investors to review how they worked with you. I think that that would be huge, right? Positive comments. Hey, I love this sponsor. Made it seamless. Made it very easy transaction. Set and forget type of things. Or right, they could say, hey, hate this sponsor. Don't want to work with him again. And maybe
Yeah.
other people can see that as well, right?
Yeah, no, it's a great call out. Great suggestion. And to your point about how easy is it to get past deals on board, like quite easy. It's really like you click on this create deal, you start adding deal information, and then you just upload all the documents, add your investors, and then they'll be in this previous deals bucket. So you won't actively be fundraising for it, but if you click on any of these deals and then you go to the investment members tab, you can see exactly like who's in it. And then, if you click on any of these people, then, you'll have access to their documentation. You can see their investment history. So we try making everything like intertwined, very easy to add investors at previous deals. And then those investors can sign in, they can see everything they've invested in, what deals are a part of. And once again, like we'll actually set that up for every sponsor that signs up. So we try making it as hands off for them. When you first onboard, you tell us, hey, here are all the deals. Here's all my information. We set up an onboarding call maybe like 5 days out. We'll set up your entire account. We hop on a call. Everything's already set up. We give you your account information and you can start doing whatever you want.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful. Well, that leaves us with two more things. One is cost. I don't want to get into that right now, but I know that you've shared with us because we want to use your platform as well, and I'll let you handle that specifically with the people that contact you. But I just want to mention that's pretty affordable. We've done a review of other platforms as well, similar, but in our opinion, it didn't have everything that you guys have and how seamless and organized everything is. And it's pretty cost effective. So kudos to that. And the second thing is, where do you guys, or who is your target audience for this? Like, who do you think is going to help out the most? I know that we talked syndicators, but there's also different markets and different people that can utilize this, correct?
yeah, so I'd say our target customer is really anyone raising for a commercial real estate deal, raising anywhere from like $1 to $10 million per specific deal. And they likely have like 10 plus investors per deal. So that's really like our target customer. We have people that are doing like $3 million multifamily apartment deals, all the way up to like hotel deals. or doing like these larger syndications where they have way more investors. We even are supporting fund to fund managers that are investing in other people's syndications, and we can support that on the platform. Like truly anything that's real estate related, where it's not like a publicly traded REIT, but instead a private investment, we can support it on HomeBase. And so anyone that fits into that category are customers that we can support.
Beautiful. And something that you mentioned in the beginning is people can invest with as little as $100. Is that for your platform as well?
Yeah, so that was back when we were syndicating the deals ourselves. So the minimums are really dependent on who's syndicating the deal, and like they truly can put whatever minimums they want. But because a lot of times these investments, like buying these properties cost like 500K, a million, 5 million, you don't really want to take small investments for these deals because you have a limited number of spots. So minimums typically are like 25 to 50K. So that was an experiment we were running. I think at a later stage, I'd like to start it again. This is not that well known, but initially, a Reg D 506B deal, you're limited to 35 non-accredited investors. However, after a year goes by, those shares are locked. So no one can sell for that first year. But after that first year goes by, you can actually start selling those shares to anyone you'd like. And the 35 non-accredited restriction actually goes away. So you can actually sell that to whoever. It can be whatever size you'd like it to be. So theoretically, any sort of secondary trading that happens where people buy your shares out could be like $100, $500, 1,000. So just something to know within current US regulation and maybe something we'll support in the future on the platform.
Beautiful. Well, I love how dynamic it is, how it's constantly growing. You're adding new features. Um, it's very cool the accessibility that syndicators have to you, right? And how they can pass feedback. I know the first time that we communicated with you, we said, "Hey, uh, how possible would it be to add this or that to our side of the platform?" And you were like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's add it." So that's also pretty unique in itself.
Yeah, I think when we first chatted, Marcelo was telling me how co-GP was really important for him. Like you guys do deals with other people, having the ability to add them. And it was something we had been requested also by other sponsors for like, let's just build this out really quick. And I kid you not, we built the entire feature set in about 3 weeks. We released it, already supporting people that are now actively taking on co-GPs. So very much take customer feedback and even prospective customer feedback into consideration and very quickly can add them to the product.
That's amazing. And I think how the world right now is shifting and moving and just evolving so fast, that's something that you also want to have, right? Because it almost feels like you guys are part of the team. It feels like what I was saying, it's is being built out to be almost like your back office, right? So the ability to communicate and have you guys support and understand and listen and then add features. I mean, that's huge, right? Usually you just feel like you go to a website, you just have what's there. And if there's something else that you're going to need that could actually make a big impact to what you're doing, maybe you don't get that somewhere else, right? So that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. And we've really tried to build a community also. And so I'd say we've now had conversations with like over 100 sponsors over the last, I don't know, 6 months. We've tried to connect people with each other. That's something I'm very passionate about. Like, let's say you and I met. I know that you focus on, Mexican investors investing in the US. I know a good amount of Texas-based sponsors. Some of them lead deals. Other people like to be a co-GP or have a fund that they want to invest with good operators. I'll make intros between each other. And some people have already gone on to invest in deals together and are using HomeBase to do it. Not all the time, but it's been really cool to see it where like, oh my gosh, like they only met because like we introed them and now they're actually putting capital together to buy something.
Yeah.
So that's been really fulfilling for me, being able to help facilitate some of those relationships. And that's the community that I'm trying to build with HomeBase as well.
That's beautiful, and I think that's part of why we aligned so good since the beginning. We're people oriented, relationship oriented, then relationship first, then everything else second. Um, Making sure that we're trying to build value for other people, right? And seeing like, how we can not just perform the service that we're doing, but how else we can help support, connect, right? Build that community between people and grow. So yeah, that's beautiful, right? And I just want to give a shout out again to Tantum. That's our company, and what we do is we're trying to become a one-stop shop for all things real estate. Everything. If you want to start a project, we can do the financial analysis for that. We can do all the underwriting. We put all the decks and performance together. We have good relationships with certain banks that we can also connect them and see if it helps the deal. Obviously, from our part, right now we've only focused with family and friends, but we're gonna eventually expand to do bigger and better projects. We have deals both in Mexico and in the US. They both have their pros and cons, but it's amazing. Actually, I did a post today in LinkedIn on how just some people switching from pesos to dollars, they got an over 20% return in less than 6 months, which that's huge, right? So if you know how to
Wow.
leverage the currency and add that to a plus to a return that you're gonna get from a deal, that's huge, right? So we're a one-stop shop from starting the deal to managing the deal to finishing out the deal, and we have the Rolodex that can make that happen from the architects, engineers, brokers, lawyers. So we make it very seamless for people, right? Very, very close to what you're doing with your software, but us through relationships and making sure that we manage the entire process with one person, right? So Domingo, I really thank you for your time. It's been amazing. I appreciate it. We're going to definitely be using your software. And if you have any questions, let me know.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity, Rodrigo. Love what you guys are doing, letting more people from Mexico invest in US real estate. Like that was something near and dear to my heart. We tried doing something similar to that back when we were syndicating deals. So love to see you actually doing it and like moving forward on that. So yeah, if there's anything I can do to support you as you're doing that, please let me know. But it's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
For sure. Well, Domingo, thank you very much for your time again. Looking forward to doing some more deals with you and to a great start to 2025 because we're on
Absolutely.
January 6th.
Absolutely. No, super excited for 2025.
Thank
Thank you
you very
again.
much, Domingo. Bye bye.